deadly combination. But on the side of Taipei Assassins, there's really not much to talk about their team composition. Gargo's going to throw the explosive cast. Jinx is just going to deal as much damage to that single target. Archie is just going to deal as much damage into the backlines by going in with the leap strike and counter strike combination, and of course Dinter can also go in to help Archie in the backlines. And the moment the cleanup crew actually gets underway, BB will just get excited, Archie will just continue to leap strike to various targets, and that's how the AZUBU Taipei Assassins team comp is going to work.
It's actually quite interesting how the Flash Wolves team composition can work. On the hunt, combined with Whimsy from Lulu, can speed boost any of the team members into the back lines, or can set up for a very interesting flank. Shyvana is a very common champion we see when people try and set up for these flanking team compositions. So the idea here might be to give Riven the speed boost to allow her to speed up and catch up to the Shyvana when she uses the Dragon's Descent to crash into opponent's side or back lines.
Yeah, that's right. So let's see the line of scrimmage actually being formed here by both the Flash Wolves as well as the Assassins. And it doesn't seem like any early invades is going to go on, maybe a delayed invade, but their posturing doesn't tell me that either team wants to go for any sort of invade at the moment. We did see both Morning as well as Refrain actually decide to blue pill back, and I don't really know why they decided to do that. I see Refrain kind of staying in the base. They recognize there's no chance for an invade at this moment, so Refrain just goes back, probably picks up a additional potion or so to allow him to sustain a little bit more in lane. If you notice this items, he didn't go for a Doran's items, but instead starts with the Crystalline Flask as well as the health as well as mana potion.
So Lulu going there with the sustain and regeneration to be able to be the lane bully we were talking about in order to try and bully out Gragas. Usually we see people struggle to try and deal with Gragas' regen and sustain in lane, because Happy Hour just gives him so much regen, so much health and so much mana as over time as he stays in lane, as we see Dinter and Mountain pick up their respective red buffs on their sides of the map.
Yeah, that's right. So they are doing a mirrored jungle path, although we do have Mountain actually go in for the Wraith Camp. Refrain does level up Help Picks at level 1. Help Picks is a pretty good skill, I feel, because number 1, it can give yourself a shield, and on enemy cars, it actually deals damage to the enemy again, gives you sight, so it's both a defensive and somewhat offensive skill. It does not have Glitter Lash just yet, but nevertheless, it's still a very good skill for Refrain to pick up early just to mitigate some of the damage coming out from Morning.
So Stick actually getting a level lead over Archie in the top lane down here. And as how are the junglers going to impact this game? Earlier I mentioned at the start of the game that Taipei Assassins, they showed their hand with the Gragas and the Elise. They want to use these mobility champions to get into the opponent's faces and be able to get off and to be able to get pick-offs in the early part of the game. So Lulu, she's a very strong lane bully, and she's got very utility toolset, but at the start of the game she doesn't really have that much in terms of being able to escape. Her Whimsy is a speed boost, and yet at the same time you can polymorph an opponent, but you can only choose one. If you polymorph a Gragas, Elise can come in for you, and if you choose speed boost yourself, if the Cocoon lands on you, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, so we do have the Death Sentence actually landing onto Jay, but the Swallow actually is forced to flash out after the lockdown from Jay and the stun as well as the Cocoon, so Flash burn there. So a gank coming in from Din to allow Flash Wolves actually, allowed TPA to burn a Flash Wolves. Archie actually taking quite a bit of damage. They actually forced to flash away from the turret damage there. Archie will leap strike to safety, and that's just going to be flash for flash in top lane.
So we see the junglers starting to take the action into the game with Elise with a gang at bottom lane and Riven with one at top lane. Now, Annie as a support, she has hit some recent major changes with the cooldown to Dibbers and the duration of a Pyromania stun. With the reducers in this is actually up. We have actually seen teams not pick up Annie as much, but we see Jay here actually picking up Annie in this case. So how much has Jay adapted to the new Annie? Previously with the old Pyromania stun, the 1.25 seconds was very, very long, but now before you hit level 6, I believe it's only 1 second?
1.25.
Sorry.
1.25 to 1.75.
1.25 to 1.75. So
right.
With the reduced stun duration, they have to be a little tighter on their gang timings.
That's right, a great death sentence actually lands on the Dinta, but I don't think Flash Wolves want to actually go in for the aggression onto this. Instead, Sword Art takes a little bit of damage, but Dinta does have his spiderlings to actually allow him to regenerate some health in the jungle. He's probably going to just go back to farm his own jungle, regain some health, come back from a gank later on. So this is going to be the story of the early game from TPA for most of their games at least, because they want to get BB snowballing. BB's on a champion that does well when it snowballs, and that's just going to be how Dinta is going to mainly gank. But as you see here, Mountain actually trying to deal as much damage on the Dinta. Dinta turns around, puts on the poison as well as the spiderling, and now they really want to catch Mountain out, but instead Refrain comes in. Mountain gets the help from Help Pigs, but a first blood coming in from Morning goes into the body slam, and now BB actually gets onto the death sentence. The spell shield will prevent the cocoon from actually landing, and sorry, and of course Refrain there forcing the Flash out of himself and using the Whimsy to get the speed up.
So 1-4-0 and first blood goes to Taipei Assets, and using the mobility that we were talking about, Gragas joined the fight slightly earlier than Refrain, allowing his team to pick up the first blood for themselves. So now Stick comes in from the back trying to pick up a very low Morning, and Morning decides to just back off. So mobility once again is very key here. As Mountain comes in from the stack, he misses the stun as Gragas body slams out of the way.
That's right, so let's see if Morning is able to get away from this one. It doesn't seem like that's the case because Steak will just use the Flame Breath to just get the last hit onto Morning, allowing him to get the kill. So it's going to be a 1-for-1 so far in the early stages of the game. The goal difference is just about only 100 gold in TPA's favor, so let's just see how the flow of the game is going to go. What do you think about the lane matchups in the respective lanes, J-Storm?
So Shyvana versus Jackson in top lane. This is something that we've seen since season 3, and actually Shyvana has a slight level lead and now that she picked up a kill by roaming to mid lane, she should be able to get an upper hand on the Jax in this case. Now Jax, we have seen actually Jax drop off a bit in popularity since the pre-season 4, simply because Jax, if he doesn't really do that well in lane, he becomes like a second AD carry where you need to wait for the item thresholds to come up before you can start joining in team fights. Comparing the junglers, we actually see the clear split of Riven coming into play here with a 32 to 16 CS difference as Dinter comes around the back.
Yeah, he does want to get as much damage on the Mountain as possible. Mountain is taken down extremely low. Morning is in the back lines. Let's see if Mountain is actually able to get away from this one, but instead they will rotate away from the counter jungling aggression coming in. Sora is now taken down. BB picks up the kill onto that one, and it does seem that Mountain's counter jungling days are still kept alive because of the teamwork coming in from Flash Wolves.
So TPA rotating well, and once again using the mobility to be all over the place. They knew that they dropped their opponent's jungle low, so now so they went in and got a kill at bottom, and now they are picking up the dragon.
That's right, so Dinter having a very good position. It's quite surprising to me because Dinter was actually level 4 and Mountain was level 6. Yet he waited patiently, allowed Mountain to take as much damage as possible from Red buff, and then did his combination, his burst combination, and that prevented Mountain from actually from being the aggressor. So Dinter, despite being 2 levels down, he was ballsy enough to actually go into the opponent's jungle and just wait for Mountain to rotate to his own red buff.
So AZUBU Taipei Assassin taking some calculated risks to come out to try and come out ahead of their opponents, and it succeeds, giving them a 1.2k goal lead over their opponents. So going back to the lane matchups, we were talking about Riven and Elise. So Riven actually has a faster clear speed than Elise, but Elise's ganks are questionably more potent because with the cocoon landing onto anybody and with the rest of the burst that the rest of the teammates can offer, it creates lots of kill potential. The moment the cocoon lands, perhaps that person is effectively dead if they do not have their flash up. Now looking at the mid lane, Lulu is supposed to be the lane bully in this case. However, we see the Gragas taking a CS lead as we see Sting and Mountain coming in from behind.
Yeah, they may just go into Super Mega Death Rock. Actually comes down. Mountain actually chunked for half his HP. Steak is actually forced to use the Dragon's Descent to get away from the turret damage from from TPA, and Archie is able to hold that turret. So Refrain actually dodging out the cocoon, using the wild growth onto himself, and will he be able to get away from Morning? He does get a repel from Dinter. Dinter is able to catch out onto him. The cocoon should be coming out in a matter of seconds. Refrain's still running away, using the glitter lens to slow them down, but nevertheless the cocoon will hit. He gets the whimsy off, but is not able to dodge away from the barrel. And in the volley, we actually saw Flash Wolves get a kill onto Jay, and we didn't really get to see what happened there, but nevertheless, it's a 1-for-1 trade in favor of no one, because it's going to be support for mid lane. So I would say, you know, maybe a slight advantage to AZUBU Taipei Assassins.
So I actually wanted to talk more about this mid lane matchup. Lulu is this very strong lane bully with the help picks and glitters as Hook lands onto BB.
That's right, so BB is in a bunch of trouble now. He does have the barrier up, but nevertheless, NL was there to actually get the last hit as Swarda was tanking up the turret shots.
So now moving on to bottom lane here, we actually see Jinx falling behind in CS the Silver. Silver has got very strong clear, has got very strong wave clear with a boomerang blade, and with the ricochet hits coming in, allowing her to clear the lane very effectively and continuously push them in. Well, this lane clear doesn't only mean that Jinx will do CS under the tower, it will also mean that Thrasher's hooks aren't as likely to be are more likely to hit, as the creep wave will not be there to block the hook.
Yeah, so it's very good play coming in from the bottom lane of for Flash Wolves. I was about to call it bottom lane of Sword Art, but Sword Art playing a very good trash, landing a lot of the death sentences. And I like to talk about the supports a little bit, because the first item being picked up for the side of Flash Wolves, instead of the GP5, they go for that vision item, the Sidestone being picked up by Sword Art in the early stages of the game. And we did see both supports start off with the Dorrance items, and Jay has decided to prioritize the Ancient Coin as his first item, or at least first main item coming in as a support.
Well, you could actually see the Sidestone as a gold generation items as well, because it means that you do not have to buy wards, and that saves you gold as well, although it doesn't passively generate them, as Dinter comes in and Dragon's Form.
That's right, the Dragon's Descent is forced out of stake, all just because Dinter decided to show himself in the top lane. So we do have Dinter as well as Morning kind of posturing in the top half of the map. Archie actually goes in with the counter strike, doesn't get it up onto stake at this moment, but nevertheless stake in Dragon's Form is something that you might want to be a little bit wary of. Dinter here camping in the brush is spotted out by the ward. He will blue pill back, and it does kind of tell stake that, you know, I can play quite safely here in the top lane.
So going back to the support items, the Sidestone actually gives Trash stats, very helpful stats that he needs to survive the burst coming in from Annie. So it's actually a very intelligent decision to go for the Sidestone now here. Not only in the fact that it gives him more stats, it's also Flash Wolves reacting very well to Taipei Assassin's game plan. They recognize the mobility of Elise and Gragas, and therefore they pick up these items so that they can have additional vision to spot out any rotations coming from Gragas or any gank coming from Elise.
Yeah, so let's kind of take a look at how the state of the game is at this moment, J-Storm. So what do you think TPA and Flash Wolf needs to do? They haven't taken any turrets yet. The first dragon of the game, I believe, went to AZUBU Taipei Assassins as they rotated there, got a clean dragon. Dragon will be up in another 1 minute, and do you think Flash Wolves will be confident enough to fight TPA at the turret, or vice versa?
Well, I don't think Flash Wolves is really confident enough, or they haven't really hit the power spikes in terms of items. Silver might have picked up the Bloodthirster, but that's a bit later in the form. She hasn't picked up her Athene's Unholy Cure yet. So I think it's at the point of time when Flash Wolves want to start making plays on the AZUBU Taipei Assassins team. With a Jax and the Jinx on the side of Taipei Assassins, Flash Wolves will be pressed to make a move throughout this game before they have to start dealing with the sustained damage coming in from the late game terrors that are Jax.
A snowball playing jungle Riven. He went for attempted ganks, got counter jungle in terms of he hasn't really been able to get himself rolling. And if a Riven is unable to snowball, he's just gonna be quite useless in the next 10 minutes or so, because Riven lacks so much damage without any items.
So Riven is one of those champions that really snowballs really hard. But however, when Riven doesn't really get the kills that she needs, she tends to fall off towards the mid and late game when she can't go in and burst the backliners down. So we actually see Riven opting to go for damage, which is actually more reflective of the Season 4 meta game, where they let the top laner take over the role of tanking and they let the jungler do the damage instead, going for Spirit of the Elder Lizard. But once again, Taipei Assassin going with the Season 3 strategies, going for Spirit of the Ancient Golem on their jungler, opting to let the jungler be tanky and let the top laners do the damage instead, with Jax picking up Blade of the Rune King.
Yeah, that's right, and a great 1-2 turret capture by the top as well as the bottom lane of Flash Wolf. So now they're gonna hit a slight gold spike, and this pulls their gold even with Taipei Assassins, and this should face AZUBU Taipei Assassins when they want to fight them at possibly the next dragon fight.
So Flash was using the strength of the lane bullies to force Taipei Assassins back and picking up 2 towers in the process, as now Taipei Assassins is posturing around the dragon, warding over the place. So let's take a look at the warding from both teams here. We can see they definitely want to be picking fights now, trying to use their flanking composition to pick a fight in dragon, where there's lots of entrance paths from both sides of the jungle, and where they can get a really good flank onto either the Jinx or the Gragas.
That's right, it's been quite a quiet 5 minutes so far. Not much action happening outside the fact that 2 turrets are actually facing off in the top lane quite a bit. Doesn't seem like Archie has the ability to deal with stake just yet. We do have AZUBU Taipei Assassins trying to go for that dragon attempt, and it does seem that they will be able to cleanly take that dragon away from Flash Wolf. We did see Mountain go in with the Broken Wings combination, hop over the wall and take the lantern away in an attempt to get a smite steal off.
So AZUBU Taipei Assassins playing the game like true champions and getting a very clean Baron pickup, getting a very clean dragon pickup. So we see the Flash Wolves now sieging onto the mid lane turret. So now the question is, with dragon down, originally it looked like their plan was to try and lay siege was try to pick a fight around dragon, but Taipei Assassins identified that they went back to get items and to heal up, so they went in and picked up the dragon instead. So now that was kind of a lost opportunity for the Flash Wolves. So I think they will be moving around mid lane, trying to find a pick-off around the jungle of mid lane, as they try to get a flank on Taipei Assassins.
Yeah, but instead I think they're not trying to find a pick, but done it. They've now once again even up the gold lead quite a bit after AZUBU Taipei Assassins have managed to pick up the dragon in that previous 1 minute or so. So now with all the outer turrets down for Flash Wolves, for Taipei Assassins, I do expect Flash Wolves to actually possibly get a few picks against AZUBU Taipei Assassins.
Well, the story of how the objectives have been being traded in this game are rather peculiar. Taipei Assassin, they have a very 4-1 composition where they usually want to be staying in lanes and defending their turrets. However, we have seen them pick up the dragon twice already. On the side of Flash Wolves, like what I mentioned earlier, they have a very strong flanking composition. They want to pick fights in the jungle where there's lots of entrances from all over the place where they can get in, get behind their opponents and pick off the backliners. However, they picked up not 1, not 2, but 3 turrets already in their favor. So it's rather peculiar how this is panning out. So now with the 3 outer turrets down and the Taipei Assassin's jungle exposed, I think this is actually looking a bit in the Flash Wolves' favor, as they can use the space in the Taipei Assassin's jungle to try and make plays happen.
Now let's just see how to ramp up into quite a monster of a Jax. Already completed the Blade of Rune, already completed on the side of Stake. However, it does have the Sunspire Cape as well as the Random Winds Omen. Hasn't picked up the Giant's Belt just yet. It does have a long sword, which kind of points to me that he might want to go for a Vampiric Scepter into possibly either a so Flash Wolves now have quite a good foothold in the jungle of the Taipei Assassins, and with this foothold they actually are quite happy to pick up the blue buff from themselves, Super Mega Death Rocket does come in to try to steal that one away, but nevertheless, it's quite a quiet game so far, hence I'm talking so softly. But anyway, outside of that, let's just kind of get back into the game a bit, Jason. Like, explain to me how the game is going to progress in the mid game, because now we're about to hit that beautiful sound of Jax hitting a turret. But what is the mid? Who has the stronger team comp in the mid game?
Well, I actually think the Flash Wolves have got a stronger team composition at this point of time. Before Jax gets his item thresholds, Taipei Assassins want to actually be buying time and not be picking fights against the very strong flanking composition that Flash Wolves can bring against them. So now the question will be the vision game. The vision game is the question here now. With the outer turrets of Taipei Assassins down, how are they going to react to this? And how is Taipei Assassins going to react to the vision game of Flash Wolves? How are they going to identify where Flash Wolves have water and avoid those areas and try to avoid
coming in from the Flash Wolves just yet. Hopefully they actually get their team composition rolling, as you've been saying, that they can actually try to get a few picks in the jungle. But nevertheless, AZUBU Taipei Assassins have been playing this game quite passively. I mean, I'm sure they want BB to kind of ramp up as much as possible. Already completed 2 core items in the form of Bloodthirster, as well as the Last Whisper on the side of Flash Wolves, and L has also completed the items, is ahead of BB in terms of completing that tier 2 boot. So a little bit quiet. It doesn't seem like any of the teams are quite confident in picking a fight just yet.
So with this quiet period going on here, I would actually say it favors Taipei Assassins. With the double terrors of Jinx and Jax in the late game, it is definitely playing into the hands of Taipei Assassins as Jax jumps in.
Land onto himself, and it does seem that AZUBU Taipei Assassins is going to back off from this one. They do catch Mountain out in the bottom side of the jungle, whereas NL as well as Sword is kind of pushing up the top lane, with the fact that Morning is trying to defend that one as much as possible. A lot of pings going down in the jungle. Let's see if Flash Wolves don't want to go in, while Mountain actually taking a bunch of damage, does not even hit his Blade of the Exile Wind Slash combination. And nevertheless, BB actually getting turret shots. Is he able to get in? The barrier is popped and Sting still manages to get in, but Archie comes in from the back, picks up a kill onto Refrain, and now Sting will be forced to run away as far away as possible from that one. It's going to be a 2-for-2 trade, jungler and mid laner for jungler and AD carry.
So finally, Flash was finding the fight that they were looking for, but the results not really showing as to the strengths of the team composition. What I was saying, the plan for Taipei Assassins at this point is to simply feed the Jax, simply because they know that at this point of time, they have the stronger late game composition. So they're just simply going to stall it out, play passively, make sure that they don't throw the game at any point of time, and when Jax and Jinx have hit the item thresholds, they'll turn it around and wreck the Flash Wolves team.
Yeah, that's right. So for once, actually, Flash Wolves has managed to get the gold advantage in their favor after taking that dragon once it respawns. So it's still a very even game at this moment, but we have to consider the fact that AZUBU Taipei Assassins have yet to pick up a turret kill. The moment those 3 outer turrets fall, that's going to give them a gigantic gold spike, and let's kind of see how the AZUBU Taipei Assassins are going to, deal with this Flash Wolves combination so far. They've been trading quite evenly, and I don't expect either of them to be the aggressors. So if one of them does want to go in for an initiation, I feel that AZUBU Taipei Assassins have the Tibbers AoE stun on top of Morning's explosive cast. That's just going to allow you to deal a whole lot of burst damage, allowing BB, Archie as well as Dinter to go in for some executes.
Definitely indeed. The Taipei Assassins with the explosive cast coming from Gragas, allowing the Jinx to isolate people and pick them off. Jinx is very, very strong at dueling. Jinx is one of the strongest duelists as AD carries, but I think perhaps only Vayne comes up on top of her in terms of that.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting because we've known BB to be a cornerstone or a pillar for AZUBU Taipei Assassins, but if you take a look at the farm and the gold differences from the 2 AD carries, BB is falling short almost 4.
Well, we actually see Silver actually pick up gold CA allowed to clear as attention coming over on blue buff.
That's right, on the hunt, it gets popped by Silver, and now Soa gets zoned out, but look at the Dragon's Descent coming in. They pick up a kill onto Jay, and it does seem that Elise is in a bunch of trouble. A double kill from Refrain, and those 2 kills for nothing on the side of Flash Wolves will allow them to actually try to pick up the turret there in the... try to pincer the lane away and force some creeps into the mid lane turret. Let's see if Flash Wolves continue their push, because sooner or later they might have to deal with this split push Archie. They do send Mountain to go and deal with that Jack split push. Steak may try to pincer.
So Flash Wolves identifying that the TPA team will be going for their own blue buff, and knowing that Jax is at top using their very split boost composition to get into the phases and pick up 2 kills for themselves. So, as this game proceeds, Flash Wolves is definitely on the clock here. They might have picked up those 2 kills there, but is it enough? At the moment, they're only at 1,100 gold. Jinx is one of the strongest late game AD carries. Jax is also another late game monster that they have to deal with. So, you know, Flash Wolf and his Triforce really, he should be picking up either that's unlikely. Perhaps a Randwins or some fires came up. Jax would be really, really difficult to deal with. At this point in time, he has 238 CS and an assist on hit.
Yeah, so we do see Flash Wolves actually being the aggressive stake here, just brute forcing his way into the jungle of AZUBU Taipei Assassins, even though both Dinter and Jay was there to try and attack, forcing Stake to actually use the Dragon's Descent out into the Baron pit. And here we do have Morning using the explosive cast. He does get Stake off. The Super Mega Death Rocket will miss, and Stake will just get the Wild Growth being popped onto him, as well as taking the right on the Dark Passage. Knowing that these key ultimates are down, the AZUBU Taipei Assassins will start on the Baron, and they're doing it extremely quickly. And L is still split pushing in the bot lane here. So let's just see how it's gonna go. Now a fight actually breaks out at Baron. Mountain actually gets taken down quite low. He's unable to pull off any sort of smite seal at the Baron. Stay is able to actually zone away Jay and try to deal as much damage as possible. But here we do have TPA picking up the Baron, now losing the inhibitor. And how many more people are gonna die from this one? It does seem that no one else is gonna die, and the Silver is just kind of backing away after pushing down the bot inhibitor turret.
So the recall from Morning and BB is in time to prevent NL from getting the bottom inhibitor. As they pick up Baron, definitely interestingly though, in the process while they were posturing around Baron, Silver actually managed to pick up 2 towers for Flash Wolves, allowing them to pull themselves to a slight goal lead in ahead of TPA.
So I think it was just 1 tower, it's just the inhibitor turret there. I believe the outer turret was already, inner turret was already taken down. So let's kind of take a look at the items coming in from both teams. Assassins haven't really taken down any of the outer turrets outside of the top lane outer turret, but talk to me about the items, Jason.
Well, looking at all the items at a glance, the one that stands out to me the most is definitely Mountain's itemization. He is building completely MR, and he hasn't barely built any armor. So I feel that this might be a mistake coming in from him later, rather than Gragas wave clear. Rather than Gragas' ultimate.
Yeah, so let's just kind of take a look at how AZUBU Taipei Assassins will decide to play this, because being forced so deep into your own territory and having so many wards in your opponent's territory isn't a good thing, because if AZUBU Taipei Assassins found the Wild Growth isn't enough to save him, taking down the AD carry should be enough for them to actually try to pick up an objective such as Dragon or maybe even a turret. They should try to rotate down to the mid lane at this point to deal some damage to the mid outer turret.
So Graga is going in there with the explosive class, pushing NL to one side, and once you're isolated, the stun lands onto you and Jinx completion.
Kind of works for AZUBU Taipei Assassins. BB now is sent on to split push duty. Jinx is one of the best champions to actually go there and just take the turret as fast as possible due to the attack speed bonus you get from your Pow Pow. And they do manage to pick up their second turret of the game, extending their gold lead to about 2,500 gold. So now TPA wants to catch out Su'a. The stun will land, and now Su'a just takes a whole bunch of damage. The Super Mega Death Rocket will come up. The Repel comes down. The Tippers comes out, and Mountain seems to be able to get away from that one. They didn't really layer the stun too well onto Mountain, and that allowed Mountain to actually get away from that one. Snake is actually on the back lines. Jay pops the Talisman of Ascension. Now we do have Dinter in the process though, but Refrain will be the next one to go down. BB gets excited. We'll be using the range of fish modes to deal as much damage as possible, and the zap comes out, doesn't really manage to connect, but look at the blinking red health bars, and in that time, in that 4v5 that was happening, TPA has just been sending Archie on the next second split push mission, taking down 2 turrets, and now the inhibitor turret goes down, so TPA just suddenly turned on and shifted gears. BB will now be pressuring this bot in a turret as well. Archie dealing one-on-one with Snake. Mountain joins the fight. He just will leap strike with that short few minutes, 2 minutes I would say. TP 5 turrets, and if Morning actually manages to pick up this turret, it's going to be 6 turrets, and their gold lead, their spike is so immense right now. Almost 9,000 gold a hit, and I bet once everyone goes back to the shop, they're just going to get huge items.
But actually TPA is only 6,500 gold a hit of the opponents in this case, and what we actually looked to push down the towers in the top lane, while at bottom lane they identified that the flash team was spread a bit thin, so Dinter went in there with a flash cocoon, caught out Sword Art, and because of that they picked up the kill on Sword Art, and they continued to roll their advantage using their Baron buff and the Q to pick up the multiple turrets. So now the question is, what can Flash Wolves do to get back into the game despite this 6,000 gold deficit? So if you look at them, I think it's kind of over. Jax has already picked up his strong items, and now it'll be a head-on engage between the Flash Wolves teams and the Taipei Assassins teams in terms of team fighting. The Taipei Assassins team, they have shown Morning a very strong mid laner with the Grog as something that he's very comfortable with. We've seen excellent explosives cars coming from him so far, getting lots of kills from him.
Now in the jungle here, Snake goes in with the Wild Growth as well as Dragon's Descent, but Archie is actually sent to the back lines to try to disrupt as much of the fight as possible. Archie tries to take Sword Out down, but Archie will be the first to fall, gets his Guardian Angels popped. Dinter is now in the back lines, and as we see Jay actually taking down Mountain, Archie now getting a 3-man stun and managing to get away from that one. No, he does not manage to get away because Refrain does pick up the kill in the end, and L will go down to BB, and at the end of the day, it does seem that it's going to be a, let's see, a 4-for-2 exchange. Archie and BB will go down, and the rest of the AZUBU Taipei Assassins are left with kind of blinking red health bars, or at least on Dinter. Let's just see whether AZUBU Taipei Assassins will be able to pick up an objective from that fight.
AZUBU Taipei Assassins knocking on the mid lane in a turret here. So now that team fight down there, Flash Wolves, they want to be fighting in the jungle so that they can use the various movement paths to get in flanks onto the opponent. However, when you fight in the jungle, it means that Morning and BB can pull off the Gragas Jinx combo. If they split your team, Jinx is going to wreck anybody 1v1. And on top of that, Archie now, he has picked up his core items. He's even picked up the GA, which let them set up for such a strong engagement there. Archie jumped in there, he got some damage in, he popped, they forcing to pop this GA, and while the GA was coming up, the rest of the TPA team engaged onto the Flash Wolves team and picked up a 4-for-2 advantage for them, as well as the mid lane in the turret.
It's going to be quite interesting because I just noticed more seen much of, we do have the Talisman of Ascension pop. Will Soa be able to get it? He does not, because Morning just instinctively flashed away from that play. Quite interesting there. And with the death sentence up, it kind of make me wonder why Soa didn't really want to use the death sentence on the Morning to get I would say a secure kind of lockdown onto Gragas. But nevertheless, Baron is now up, and it does seem that AZUBU Taipei Assassins will want to start on this one with 2 members on their team with such crazy attack speed, steroids, as well as the Blade of the Ring King. This dragon will go down quite quickly. So we do have Snake coming in and jumping into the fray. Snake will go down first, and let's just see how the rest of the team actually responds to this one. The Flash Wolves will try to run, but Morning will try to get them onto the flank. The Super Mega Death Rocket comes out. Refrain should be the next one to go down. Pops the Wild Growth onto himself. Falls down. Either way, Mountain does manage to take the ride on the Lantern to try to get away as far as possible. But another explosive cast coming out from Morning will not be able to snipe anyone down. But everyone's with the blinking red health bars. NL is still quite alive. Gets the flash over the wall from Archie. Gets the counter strike off, but it's blocked very nice. Gets the flay onto Archie. Will Archie be able to catch up once again? The leap strike cooldown might be going up. Why are we looking at the dead Shavana? Once again, Archie coming in, gets the stun off from Riven, gets the stun in, and Archie actually just takes a while. In that time, Dintel was actually pushing down the top lane. And
was Taipei Assassins identifying that On the Hunt was just spotted by Silver. Silver users On the Hunt, and Taipei Assassins recognize that a very key part of the Flash Root's engagement strategy as the fire breaks out.
That's right, BB does get the death sentence onto him, but nevertheless he gets excited after taking out that turret, and he will have that. Nevertheless, Flash Wolves seem to be not really in control of this one, because AZUBU Taipei Assassins have been the one that has the upper hand so far.
So far, Flash Wolves, they've played well, they've played their team composition, but Taipei Assassins, they played even better. They went, they showed patience, they showed discipline. They didn't pick fights before their jacks hit the item threshold, and after that happened, it was basically Gragas and Jinx wrecking face, and them making very good calls, knowing that On the Hunt, a very key component of Flash Wolves' engagement strategy, was down, and decided to do a Baron during that window.
Yeah, so how does Flash Wolves actually get away from this, well, 14,000 gold, right? My math's not wrong. 14,000 gold deficit.
14,000 gold it is in this case, and it's about to widen to about 15,000 gold. So I am watching a death animation of Flash Wolves slowly dying.
Oh no, this is a really grim sight, I must say. The cleanest game so far. Their engagements, I must say, play calling coming into the mid game. Whoa, as we see here, Archie may just get caught out, and now actually pops On the Hunt to try to close in onto Archie. The entire team of TPA, other than Archie, is actually pushing down this inhibitor. We do have the initiation coming from Steak. Steak pops the Randuin's Omen, but he is forced to actually back out from that one. Jay is now in the middle of every single one of them. Gets the flash away, manages to survive just barely. Now Mountain is in a bunch of trouble. BB gets excited, picks up the next kill. Will he get the Steak double kill? Yes, he does. He eats up that juicy kill onto NL. He really wants it though, but NL is actually the one that is just hiding away in the base itself. It does seem that Flash Wolves will lose this game to TPA. TPA wins the match with a convincing last engagement coming in, and actually Flash Wolves was the one that now that I think about it, was the one that initiated onto Taipei Assassins.
So TPA giving them a little run around with Archie in the bottom lane down there, a little bit of cheeky play on there, letting the setup for that play as a whole. Although Flash Wolves identified that after the recall that they have a 5v4 situation, the goal lead was just too much for them to overcome.
Yeah, that's right. So it's just TPA once again showing that they are the old guard, and so far Flash Wolves hasn't really impressed me just yet, but nevertheless I think their early game decisions and allowing them to take the early turrets allowed them to get the momentum into the mid game. But AZUBU Taipei Assassins, not surprisingly, but professionally just kept the gold even throughout the game despite having a turret deficit. They picked up other global objectives and they decided to take the many dragons from then on.
A very intelligent play from the AZUBU Taipei Assassins, identifying when their team was strong and when their team was weak, and playing the engagements out perfectly in that game. So now as we take a look at the score screen down here, we see 20 kills to 11. And on BB, 8-3 and 9. An 8-3 and 9 score with Elise with 12 assists.